He crossed a line no child should ever be near. In that instant, I understood that nothing in my family would ever be the same again. It was one of those quiet nights when the house feels almost unnervingly still. Every creak of the floorboards seemed amplified, carrying a warning in its echo. My husband was away for the weekend, leaving me alone in a home that usually felt safe, familiar, predictable. But that night, predictability vanished. Some boundaries are sacred. Invisible lines exist in every family, lines meant to protect love, trust, and respect. Yet some moments, quiet, seemingly insignificant moments, can destroy them in an instant. I had no warning. Nothing in my day suggested that I would face a betrayal so raw and bewildering that it would make me question everything I believed about family, loyalty, and even myself. That night changed everything. If you're new here, remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Your support helps us share more incredible stories. Now, let's dive into today's story. I had always considered myself a devoted stepmother. When I married Daniel 13 years ago, I wasn't just committing to him. I was committing to his son, Ethan, a quiet, thoughtful little boy who had lost his mother far too soon. From the beginning, I promised to be a steady presence in his life, the one who would lift him when life knocked him down and guide him when he needed direction most. At first, our home in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon, moved with the tentative, careful rhythm of a blended family. Daniel and I structured our routines around Ethan's school drop-offs, soccer practices, scraped knees, bedtime stories. I threw myself into those moments, believing love could bridge any gap. But while I worked tirelessly to hold our family together, cracks were quietly forming elsewhere. Daniel, once attentive and steady, had grown distant over time. His job demanded him, leaving him physically present but emotionally absent. Conversations shortened, nights ended in silence, and my own spirit ached for a connection that never arrived. Ethan and I, however, shared a bond that sometimes felt like the only warmth left in the house. He would linger in the kitchen while I cooked, ask about books we both loved, and those small moments, the sincere touches on the arm, became everything. Laughter over shared jokes, quiet afternoons spent reading together, they felt comforting, natural. And yet, looking back, I know they were also the earliest signs of something fragile, something that could unravel. Evenings were the hardest. With Daniel buried in work, I often sat alone with Ethan, listening to his stories, helping him with small worries. It never occurred to me that such moments could be twisted or misinterpreted. I saw myself only as a mother figure, a guide, someone offering steadiness amid the chaos of growing up. But in those still moments, I now see faint boundaries beginning to blur. Casual gestures of care, innocent touches, lingering conversations. Things that seemed harmless were quietly laying the groundwork for a night that would change everything. At the time, I didn't notice. I didn't see the subtle tension, the lingering glances, the moments carrying more weight than they should. I only remember believing our family was strong, that Ethan and I were close in the best possible way. Now I realized the cracks had been spreading long before that night, and the ordinary, steady life I thought I had built was already slipping. That night, the house was unusually quiet. Daniel had gone on a weekend trip with his brothers, leaving me alone with the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft ticking of the wall clock. I settled onto the couch with a blanket, hoping for a peaceful evening. A moment to myself, but peace I quickly realized was about to be interrupted. The first sounds were subtle. A key scraping against the lock, a door creaking open, footsteps lacking the careful rhythm of someone used to moving through a sleeping home. Then came the thud of something dropping, a muffled curse, someone off balance. My heart leapt. Instinctively, I stood and pressed my hand to my chest, listening. Ethan, my stepson, he shouldn't have been home yet. Before I could think it through, I moved toward the hallway, worried not only for him, but also for waking Daniel. As I approached, I saw him struggling slightly, leaning on the doorframe for support. A faint scent of alcohol lingered on him, and his eyes were unfocused, though he managed a small, sheepish smile when he noticed me. "Ethan, careful," I whispered, stepping closer. My hands reached out almost automatically to steady him, guiding him toward the living room so he wouldn't stumble. I felt a jolt of worry, concern for him. And yet, beneath it, an unfamiliar warmth stirred inside me. It was a simple act of care, or at least, that's what I kept telling myself. Even as I led him gently to a chair, my heart started to race. He slumped into the chair, and I fetched a glass of water, moving carefully to avoid spilling it. His gaze lingered on me longer than usual, and he murmured a quiet, hesitant thanks. His voice was soft, vulnerable, almost boyish in its fragility. There was a tension in the room neither of us could name, but we both felt it. I helped him sip the water, holding the glass steady for him. My fingers brushed his hand briefly, just a fleeting touch, but my body reacted as if it carried far more meaning. The air felt heavy, charged in a way that made it difficult to focus on anything else. It was innocent, I told myself, a simple act of concern for someone I cared about. Yet deep down, my heart knew it wasn't. The moment stretched longer than it should have. We exchanged a few words, murmuring about nothing in particular, trying to fill the silence. But every glance, every touch, every small movement felt loaded. The comfort of caring for him had begun to blur into something unspoken, something dangerous. As I stepped back, hands still trembling slightly, a sinking feeling settled over me. That night, this ordinary, quiet night, was the night everything would shift between us. Some boundaries, I suddenly understood, do not announce themselves when crossed. They slip quietly, almost imperceptibly, and in that suspended, tense, fragile moment, I felt the line between us beginning to blur. I gently guided Ethan toward the staircase, careful to keep my movements steady, though my heart was anything but calm. Each step felt heavier than the last, not from the weight of his body, but from the tension hanging between us, thick and almost tangible. The soft creak of the stairs under his feet seemed deafening in the quiet house, as if every sound marked a point of no return. When we reached his room, the dim lamplight revealed the earlier mess: his spilled water, the damp shirt clinging to his back. My instinct had been to leave him to change, to reclaim the boundaries slipping through my fingers. But as he fumbled, struggling to remove the soaked fabric, I found myself stepping forward. My hands brushed his arms as I helped him pull off the shirt, an innocent gesture in any other context, but tonight it carried undeniable weight. My pulse raced, every nerve alert, every glance charged with something I wasn't ready to name. "I've got it," I murmured softly, though my voice trembled. Ethan's eyes met mine for a fleeting moment, searching, intense, unguarded. A shiver ran down my spine, a strange mix of fear and something forbidden stirring deep inside me. The air between us was taut, thick with tension. In that instant, I realized with a jolt that nothing we had shared before could have prepared me for this. He adjusted his damp shirt, fumbling clumsily with the buttons, and my hands hovered, frozen in place. Desire warred with guilt in a battle I wasn't equipped to fight. I told myself to step back, leave, call out to him to finish on his own, but my body refused. Time seemed to slow, the room shrinking until we were the only two people in existence. Every tiny motion, every brush of skin, every breath was amplified 1,000-fold. Ethan's voice broke the silence, low and uncertain. "Eleanor, are you okay?" He leaned slightly closer, as if sensing my hesitation, my own conflicted emotions. My throat went dry. I'm fine," I whispered, though my trembling hands betrayed me. The words sounded hollow even as I spoke them. In that suspended moment, I knew the line we had drawn, that sacred boundary between stepmother and stepson, had already begun to blur. Then, without realizing how, our hands met lightly at first, a fleeting touch, but the electricity it carried was undeniable. It lingered, refusing to fade. My chest tightened, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Shame, fear, and an undeniable pull toward him collided, leaving me frozen, unable to retreat, yet desperate to. His gaze held mine, searching, questioning, vulnerable. In that charged silence, something shifted irreversibly. "I can't pretend anymore," he whispered, voice low, breaking the heavy quiet, and my breath caught in my throat. I knew what he meant, even as every instinct screamed to stop, to push away, to reclaim the boundaries we had once taken for granted. But the truth was, I could no longer do so. The moment had passed, the point of no return. As the room seemed to pulse with unspoken tension, I realized in shattering clarity that everything had changed the safe, ordinary dynamic we had maintained for years. The lines that defined our family were gone. That brief, fleeting contact, touch, glance, word had rewritten everything between us. I sat there frozen, heart pounding, knowing with unshakable certainty that nothing between us would ever be the same again. The next morning, sunlight filtered weakly through the curtains, softening the edges of a house that suddenly felt colder, emptier, yet charged with an attention I couldn't ignore. I moved through the kitchen, preparing breakfast as if nothing had changed, though every motion felt mechanical. The aroma of coffee filled the air, but even that comfort seemed tainted, tinged with unease. Ethan entered quietly, his presence gentle, almost hesitant, as if he too felt the invisible weight pressing down between us. We sat at the table in our usual places, yet something fundamental had shifted. The air was heavy with unsaid words, stolen glances, and quickly averted looks. Every sip of coffee, every movement of the fork felt amplified, loaded with attention neither of us dared acknowledge openly. I couldn't help but watch him across the table. Did he remember everything from last night? Or had the haze of alcohol dulled his memory? My mind spun with paranoia, imagining scenarios both real and fantastical. Did he feel the same rush I had? Was he struggling with the same confusing storm of emotions? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, part fear, part thrill I wasn't ready to admit. Even as I tried to focus on breakfast, the shame lingered like a shadow at my shoulder. Every touch, every look from the night before replayed in my mind. I chastised myself silently. "You should have stopped it. This is wrong." But the truth was, a forbidden thrill coursed through me as well, one I couldn't deny no matter how hard I tried. I felt drawn to him in a way that terrified me, yet part of me craved the connection, the intensity of our closeness, the undeniable pull that refused to be dismissed. The silence between us was deafening, yet it spoke volumes. 1,000 unspoken thoughts, emotions, and desires hung suspended in the air, pressing against us in ways words never could. I wanted to ask him, did it feel as wrong to you as it did to me? But fear kept my voice trapped, my lips sealed, and there he was, looking at me briefly, those hazel eyes searching, hesitant, carrying a mix of regret and longing that mirrored my own. I looked away quickly, trying to steady my racing heart. It was a delicate dance of avoidance and awareness, a silent acknowledgement of the boundary we had crossed but couldn't erase. I couldn't help but wonder, if you were in my place, what would you do? Would you confess the truth, risking the fragile threads of trust and family, or bury it forever, locking it away where no one could ever find it? That question hovered over me like a storm cloud, heavy, unrelenting. By the time breakfast ended, nothing had been said. We moved through our day as though the night before had been a dream, but the truth lingered stubbornly, unshakable. Every glance, every accidental brush of hands, every shared space was now charged a constant reminder that some boundaries, once crossed, can never be restored. Deep down, I knew the silence, heavy as it was only the beginning. Time has a way of sharpening memories while blurring details all at once. The night my stepson crossed the line, the unthinkable remains etched in my mind, a permanent scar I carry in quiet moments. Looking back now, I see so many warning signs I should have heeded, so many moments where silence allowed temptation to grow, where unspoken words festered into actions neither of us could reverse. For months afterward, I replayed the events over and over in my mind. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word haunted me. It was a storm of conflicting emotions, shame, fear, longing, and an undeniable thrill I couldn't rationalize. I had always prided myself on my judgment, my ability to navigate life's challenges with clarity and care. Yet here I was, grappling with feelings and impulses I had never imagined, caught in a situation that tested the very core of who I thought I was. I realized then that love without honesty is fragile. I had loved my stepson like a mother, trusted him like family, and yet that trust had become a double-edged sword. Loyalty without respect is meaningless. And the line between care and desire, once blurred, can be devastatingly easy to cross. I had always believed that love could heal and protect, but I learned the hard way that love, when mingled with secrecy, can become a force that destroys the very foundation it was meant to strengthen. Over time, life continued around me, yet nothing truly returned to normal. The house, once filled with the ordinary rhythms of family life, now carried an invisible weight. Every shared meal, every casual conversation, even the simplest moments, were tinged with the memory of what had happened. I became acutely aware of boundaries, both those respected and those shattered, and the fragile balance that holds families together. I asked myself endless questions. Could I have stopped it? Should I have spoken sooner, confessed, or cut the tension before it escalated? Or was the silence, as suffocating as it was, the only way to survive the moment without destroying everything? These questions have no easy answers, only echoes that linger long after the night has passed. The truth is, some moments change us irrevocably. They are etched into the soul, shaping the way we see ourselves and others. That night, my stepson crossed a line I never thought possible, and it still haunts me. The feelings, the guilt, the questions, they are all part of a story that continues to unfold silently within me. Now, I share it with you, not for judgment, but as a reminder that life can test boundaries in ways we never anticipate. Sometimes the hardest battles are fought within ourselves, between desire and reason, love and loyalty. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Would you have resisted, confessed, or let silence carry you forward?